Hi everyone, welcome to this tutorial. I'm gonna create here our journal page using Procreate. And on this particular one, I'm gonna start square, 10 by 10 inches. And I'm using here some digital scrapbooking products from Lynn Grieveson Designs. So what you see here, I bought a pen drive for my iPad, and I can leave you the link. So I'm just grabbing things from the pen drive, and you can access that through files, and I can show you that later in another video. And what I'm gonna use also is my brushes set will be released soon, but I will use the brushes for blending the papers and also to put extra paint texture. So this is what you see here. I put a mask on the papers just like you would do on Photoshop, and the mask is white in Procreate. Then you use a black brush, as you can see that, and I'm just gonna blend the papers. I'm trying different blend modes, and I think this is the fun process, and you can try experiment. You see that I experiment a lot, changing blend modes, see what looks best. The great thing about digital is that you can go back to your decisions as you go, and that's the beauty of it. So I'm trying to mask and bring back more texture things that I like, scripts, stitches, and things like that from the paper. So blending here two papers together. So creating a new layer, I'm going to now start putting some basically paint brushes. I have some jelly paint brushes here on this set, just to give it more texture, because when we do our journal page in real life, we put a lot of layers, and that's the sense that I want to show here. And I love a more artsy design, just as I would do with my paper, a lot of paints and marks and stencils and things like that. So that's what I'm trying to do here with a color palette that I created, and putting again stamps and marks and things like that. Grabbing more stuff. Now I'm gonna go to the 3D elements, which is the more realistic elements. And one of the things that Procreate doesn't have is shadow, so we have to create our own shadow. So what I do, I duplicate this element and I fill with black, and you can see that. And I fill with black, and I will do a tutorial separate of this later. And I just rearrange and then go to Gaussian blur and blur that shadow, just as you would do on Photoshop. Just, Photoshop has the benefit of we having pre-made styles for that, so we don't have to do from scratch. But it's not that complicated on Procreate to do that. And I use the warp tool to adjust the shadow there, so it looks pretty realistic. I now put this element here, and I'm gonna mask this element, play with it, and it's a kind of texture stamp, and then I'm gonna mask some parts that I don't want to look very organic. So I want it to look organic, and I thought it was too much and the blend mode was not working. So I decided to mask and use the brush to mask. I'm grabbing paint from the kit. And the benefits of working with the scrapbooking kits is that, the colors all goes together. And I don't like to create papers and things like that. So, I like to create painted papers, but all the stuff I don't like. So I like more the fancy styles. So it just got me started to have some ideas and make the page pretty. But I will show you later how to do a whole set with my brush, a whole page, not set, but a whole page of digital art journal with just brushes, if you like, which is another kind of play. I like to play with all kinds of styles, so you have to see whatever works for you. Here I'm still masking. I put a little paint there on behind of that text because I thought it was not showing that much. It says remember this life. She has this flower and this button element that already has a shadow, so that is great. She has with shadow and no shadow, so you can play with it. So I don't have to spend time creating the shadow. I use that. So here I'm getting a Procreate soft brush, going with a color just on the edges, and what I'm doing, I'm changing the blend mode. This is just to give the edges a little color and emphasize the middle. This is something I do a lot in Photoshop, but I use, gradients for that, gradient fill. But here I just use the brush and I sign my name, and that's it. I hope you enjoy it.